pumpkin that I started yesterday and make it so that it's 3D printable. I want to take it, make it so that it's something I can go through and send through the printer right now. So essentially, that's what I'm going to be doing here on this stream. I'll probably go ahead and add some extra detail, kind of punch some details a little bit on the pumpkin as well, just to make it so that it feels a little bit more fun. But yeah, a lot of what I'm going to be doing is kind of taking some of these sharp edges first, just kind of rounding them out a little bit. Um, it's not necessarily like something that's absolutely important that I have to do, and technically, if I'm going through and thinking about how the pumpkin is how things are carved out of it and whatnot, it's not really something that's absolutely accurate at all. But it's something that I wanted to be able to get so that from a stylistic standpoint, when it's printed, that lip will kind of catch a little bit of light, and it'll help to make the thing feel a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more stylized, and it'll just be a little bit more fun overall. That's the idea, right? I just figured I'd go ahead and stream this process. I'll be going through kind of cleaning up some of these mouth shapes in here. This is after I've gone through and performed the booleans from the pieces that I had set out yesterday. So yeah, I mean this is really kind of just like final stretch stuff for me to get this piece get it ready the way that I want it. You don't do this with everything that you do. But I'm doing this with this piece, especially since this is going to be such a small thing. Having the rounder edges will be a little bit better for this particular piece. You can go through and you can kind of smooth out the inside too, just in case we see anything down here. Trying to decide if I should put my logo on here, and I might. I think I will. I think I will put it on the inside of the. Maybe I'll put it on the bottom, or put it on the back like a little tramp stamp or something. I don't know. But yeah, essentially I went through. I did my booleans. I Dynameshed the resulting piece, and then I took that piece and yeah, I'm just kind of rounding out my edges. Yeah, just something simple. But yeah, and essentially that's what I'm doing. So I'm prepping this for 3D print. I'm noticing a couple of people bouncing in and out right now. Yeah, I'm just kind of going through and prepping this piece from yesterday, my jack-o'-lantern piece for 3D print, so that I can, put a light in it and put it out on my desk or something for Halloween. We'll have to see kind of how that works, how well that works even. Let's come over here. Hey Parul, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I don't know if you heard all that Parul or whatnot, but yeah. So essentially, this is the piece that I did for ZBrush Live yesterday, and I'm just going through and kind of cleaning it up a little bit, getting it ready for 3D print. So should be fun. I'm hoping to send it off for 3D printing on my Form 2 today, and yeah, and then we'll see kind of how it turns out in the morning. Hopefully, we'll have to see. Okay, so there's that. I'll go ahead and round out these edges too. And then, like I was saying a minute ago, I'm going to want to probably go ahead and take the whatchamadiggit, the Oh my goodness. I'm at a loss. What was I trying to say? I was trying to say, let's go ahead and let's isolate this section of the pumpkin. Smooth that out a little bit just to make sure. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I'm just gonna be having a little bit of fun over the next several hours. I'm going to maybe emphasize some of these bumps because I want them to show up in the print. I don't want them to be, super weak sauce, little nothings that are just kind of making it look lumpy. I want it to feel like it's got, like it has some real bump there. Just trying to have some real fun with this. Um, yeah. Just trying to go through. There'll be some decisions that I have to make, kind of coming up through here and whatnot, about how heavy-handed to be with the creasing in here. And in fact, I may even come in here and just be like, add in an extra row or something. You can come in and add in like an extra bit of crease kind of coming down. That might add a little bit more of that pumpkin factor and make it so it's not so simple. So I think maybe I will. I might have to go into the lid and kind of sculpt on that a little bit too, just to make sure that it matches and that it's all working together and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not trying to make like a straight line. I'm trying to kind of vary things up to make it feel a little bit more natural. Did you enjoy the stream though? Was there anything insightful that you feel like was helpful to you, or anything that stood out to you? So a 3D print object should, like, it depends on kind of the style that you're going for. If you do something that's low poly for 3D print, you're going to see every face, every edge. So if it's something that you're doing stylistically to make sure that you get that style, that like that low poly sort of look, then that works. But otherwise, you want to make sure that for 3D print that everything has a lot of resolution because there is no dynamic subdivision preview with a 3D print. I mean, it literally puts out exactly what the computer sees. And so, in order for something to turn out smooth, it has to have a lot of polygons. Um, there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into making these things look right. Um, and so, one of the big things is going in and literally, yeah, it's gonna take that over there or something like that. So literally, you're going to want it to look without dynamic subdivisions exactly the way that you want it to turn out in print. Um, so there are a lot of things that you want to check. You want to check your volumes. You want to check your yeah, you want to check your volumes. You want to check your forms. You want to check your, yeah, essentially just exactly as it's going to turn out. That's how you want it to look inside of ZBrush. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to go ahead and, I'm thinking in that same mentality. I'm trying to think of like, okay, so I want to make sure that I'm getting, all these details to pop the way that I want. I might even switch over to the clay brush for some of this. Yeah, that's kind of the main idea behind a lot of what you do for 3D print. You got to think about exactly what it's going to look like when it's printed, and if it's not looking the way that you want on the screen, then it's not going to look that way when you print it. So there's a lot to kind of consider and be very mindful of. Because 3D printing is an investment. I mean, you have to pay money to be able to print something. And so that's an important consideration to take when you're prepping something for print. That you're spending money to be able to make something. So right now I'm trying to go through and check like some of these details, some of these forms. And I'm trying to make sure that some of these, like the way that these wrinkles flow from different angles, that it's creating the appeal that I want. See, I really like your workflow in these streams because it always tends to get lost to where to start. Now I get the insight of how I should start and then move on. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, that's one of the best things about, oh shoot, about live streams is that you can get that sort of insight as to like how people use their workflow to turn things out, and different people use different workflows, or they'll use similar workflows, and so you kind of like gotta pick apart little things that you like, things that you find that are helpful, and it's great. I really love I love live streaming, and I love when other people when I find a good live streamer like my friend Ana Carolina, or Ashley Adams, Shane Olson. Um, those are some of my favorites to tune into and watch. Like, I don't really tune into a whole lot of different people, so they should feel honored. um, yeah, they're some of my best friends. They're great people. I really really love Anna, Ashley, and Shane. Every once in a while, I'll tune into Pablo Munoz. Yeah, I had to think for a second. I was like, oh my goodness, what is his name? It's like, that's embarrassing. Yeah, he's another one of my good friends. Um, in fact, I didn't meet Pablo, not in person anyway, until, gosh, it would have been ZBrush Summit 2018, and it was awesome. It was so fun. We were both meeting up um, at the summit, and he needed a ride back. He was waiting for an Uber, so I was like, I got a car right here. I mean, how about I take you? So we went ahead and we got to chat, and it was just fun. It's great to be able to meet him, and be able to and just to be able to make a friend, and it's finding good, honest, enjoyable people in the world. I mean, it can be kind of tough sometimes. So when you find a good person, hold on to that person. I think I need to go and get my fan. It's a little hot, but they don't want us running like our air conditioner because of rolling power outages and things like that. So I might go and get my fan so I can have that going because it's like 80 degrees in the house. Printed him a card. That's funny. Hey Fabio, how you doing? Yeah, let's go ahead. It's almost kind of like he's creating like this cleft lip right here, but that's kind of a cool look for Pumpkin. Last night for class at Noman, it was really really cool. We had some really nice turnouts with the. There's too much Lazy Mouse on there. I didn't realize that it had Lazy Mouse on in the first place. Really cool turnouts with the class assignments so far. And I mean, it's just the second week, so it's like literally they just got started on their assignments. But yeah, super super cool. I got this one student from, I can't remember what studio he says he works for, um, but he's a character artist at a gaming studio here in LA. Super talented. Um, I won't hand out his name or anything like that here, but um, let's go ahead and give it a little bit more detail, kind of coming in around here, around the face. This feels like it got a little bit smoothed out somehow. So by just going back and forth with the damp standard, it's kind of going in and adding a little bit of like elephant skin sort of look, which is kind of cool for a pumpkin surface. And then once I'm done sculpting the main body, that's when I'll go ahead and I'll touch up the lid so that it kind of matches. And you'll notice I'm trying to do each little section separately, and that's because I feel like it helps to add a little bit more independence to each of these sections, and it helps to give it a little bit more a range in texture. I'm trying when I stroke out when I create these strokes, I try to consider the contour of the pumpkin. Really really fun. And it's just a great way to make sure that you're kind of reinforcing your design, that you're reinforcing your sculpt, and that you understand what it is that you have that you've put on there. You understand form, and sometimes getting like a little bit of like a crossing of these details helps to add a little bit of character. So you got to kind of play back and forth on it some. I know there's a lot of like this going around and just doing like little details, but yeah, go get a fan. Thank you, Parul. Thanks for watching that pumpkin for me. All right. And this isn't like a big crazy fan or anything, but it'll get the air moving a little bit. Did anybody mess with my pumpkin while I was gone? And one of the things that I'm trying to do a little bit is like I'm trying to not maintain like a straight line going across. I'm trying to give it almost like a little bit of a droop here. And that I feel like is going to help kind of emphasize a little bit of weight with the pumpkin. Um, so yeah, just trying to give it like a little bit of a droop, especially as I get further down. Um, it just gets to be a little bit more important to have little design elements like that kind of going into it to kind of help emphasize and support. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what's happening there. Do something like that. Giving it like a couple little spots here where it's like deeper and coming out into the creases. I think that kind of adds a um, little bit of interest. It might be too much though. Too much for this specifically. Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll leave it a little bit more subtle. So I think that that's helping it to feel a little bit more stylized. No good, because like Fabio, I mean Fabio likes pumpkins, so I'm glad you were there watching. I might have. So one of my students has this concept that she picked for her school assignment for her project for class. Um, it's actually one that she did herself, which typically I don't. I prefer for people to pick somebody else's concept to work from. Um, but oh man, this concept is so cool. It has such great style and she has such a great design sense, shape language, and I mean there are a lot of 2D cheats that she used to create the characters that she's using. But I'm just gonna give this a little bit more oomph. Um, but she controls it and has like a specific style and shape language and things like that going into it that are just so much fun. That yeah, I was like Yeah, totally use those. That'll be great. And then I spent like way too long on in class last night, giving feedback and kind of showing little tips about how I would improve to kind of bring the sculpt closer to the concept. Yeah, but it was fun. It was great, and I'm excited to see how she does with it. Um, Certainly a long way to go with it, but it's going to be so cool. Hey, Prashan, how are you doing? Happy Saturday. Yeah, so I'm going to push this guy a little bit further, and then I'm going to send him to 3D print. So I don't know how long this particular stream will go, um, because I've got some things that I've got to record today for my next tutorial series. But but yeah, I mean, it should be pretty cool. Should be pretty fun. Thanks, Peter. How you doing? Yeah, this pumpkin will be available as like the 3D print download for the month. Um, on my Patreon. Um, so yeah, should be pretty cool. Um, but I'm gonna I'm going to test it before I say, here, have fun and good luck. Salud. I gotta turn off lazy mouse with this one. This is it's kind of creating some issues for me. Okay. I bet that I bet that if I were still at Imagineering and everybody was still working, we'd probably have like a pumpkin carving contest or something like that. My office mates at Imagineering were super into Halloween, like way more than any other holiday. So much more that it's like it always leaked into every other holiday, all the way up through February. Like Valentine's Day, they would just decorate the skeletons with hearts or whatever, like bleeding hearts, something kind of keeping it macabre and whatever. Um, I have fun with Halloween. It's not really like my favorite, but it's fun. And I think that if I had the time to really like put some good effort into like a really good into really good costumes, I think it'd be even cooler. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of my little bit on Halloween. Holiday that I could get into if it were like a real deal here in LA is Day of the Dead. And I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with Day of the Dead, except for what I see in like Book of Life and Coco and things like that. But I do love the ofrendas tradition and just how sweet and how connected it is, how connecting it is for everybody, to be able to come together, to remember ancestors, tell stories, and feel like they're connecting with uh, past, people who passed on. Um, I think it's cool. It's a really beautiful aspect of Latino culture. Got feedback on your animation, all minor stuff, but big changes that are minor. Interesting. Big changes that are minor. I'm not sure I understand how something big can be minor. That's kind of funny. Okay. Turn off solo. So this is what he's looking like right now. I've got to go through and kind of modify some of these little pieces. It's like that's creating a hole now. Just got to kind of tweak it so that it's not. Oh, and then there was some other point right there. That's the one I wanted. There we go, something like that. Hey, thanks, Dimitri. More like, don't make the character do this and change that. Yeah, okay. Okay. It's funny. Somebody that follows me on Instagram was saying that I should apply to the SCAD job opening. Um, and it's like it's intriguing because I think that it would be, well, one, I mean, Georgia is tremendously less expensive than California. Like like I could afford a house there probably, you know. And that's tremendous. That's incredible. Um and it'd be a house with a yard, and it would be a house with a mailbox. A mailbox, you know? That is the American dream right there. You know? I would love to have a personal mailbox. And you're probably laughing and thinking it's dumb, but it's a big deal to me. The house I grew up in had a mailbox, but in the house that my parents moved to when I think I was in high school, um, we didn't have our own mailbox, and it was just like I have to go to a community mailbox to check the mail, and it's easier on the mailman, mail deliverer, the letter carrier, um, but I would so much rather have my own mailbox. It's a simple thing, but you know, it's the simple things that kind of, yeah, really just make life work the way you want it, you know? And let's give it a little bit of a jaggedness there, and that'll work. Yeah, it's like anybody who grew up with, you know, mail delivered to their door, you know, that's you know, that's interesting. Um, I feel like having it be delivered to a mailbox though, to like your own family mailbox, there's just a charm to it, and there's just a privacy to it, and you know, all sorts of things that I super appreciate, that you don't get if you have uh, if you have a community mailbox. Okay, this thing will probably be printed out about this big, and I'm looking at him. He's probably about maybe 8 centimeters tall. Is that about right? Measuring tape. Okay, so he's about 9 centimeters tall. So I'll probably make him a little bit smaller than about 8 centimeters tall. One of the things I need to do. Okay, so prepping for things for print. No such thing like personal mailbox in India. uh, yeah, personal mailbox is just it's one of those things that I would love to have. Granted, you can live just fine without a personal mailbox. We have a community mailbox where we're living right now, and we get our mail just fine. Um, but there's just that extra little thing, that extra little bit. Okay, so I'm trying to think about a couple of these things here. So the lid, I'm just going to go ahead. Well, first off, let's go ahead and let's get rid of the stem. Let's get rid of the leaf posed, and then these tendrily things here. Okay, so what I want to do, I need to make sure that I can continue up the detail in here, so just to make sure that it keeps pretty tight. I want it to feel like a continuation. Um, so yeah. I'm just kind of like wiggling my damn standard up and down those creases just to kind of get those to feel cool. Oh, Parul. Okay, well, thanks for coming. And next time you see an update, you might see an update with a 3D printed pumpkin. You see, how can you throw away all the junk mail on your property? That's a good point. Okay, so one thing I need to do, I'm going to take the lid. So here's the lid. We're going to say Control M, be able to merge these two pieces together. Because I'm using a Formlabs printer, I really don't need to do anything special to this. I just need to make sure that it's watertight. And even if it's not completely watertight, the software, the what's it called, the preform software from Formlabs will allow me to kind of make sure that everything's working just fine. So now we've got the lid, and I'm going to turn this off. One of the things I need to make sure of is that the eyes and gums, and that the teeth and everything is kind of just put together, that it's all mushed together. So I'm going to go ahead, let's merge down, okay. Control M, merge down, okay. So this is going to be made from, here actually let's come over here, Polygroups, Auto Groups. This is going to be made from resin. So, so a big, in fact, instead of having this like this, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, just add in new ones, modify topology, delete hidden. Yeah, so it's going to be printed, 3D printed in resin. Which is great. go through and kind of Control D, and that'll just smooth it out once. Here, instead of just, I'm going to take these pieces. I'm going to say Crease. Control D. And this way, if anyone ever contacts me about wanting to mill this out like life size, then life size, then you know, it's at least ready. It's something that I can go back and I can use. I'm going to say go ahead and let's save this as number 3 so that we don't have to worry about saving over things. I actually haven't found a job yet. Yeah, it's kind of kind of frustrating, honestly. Yeah, let me see, maybe I'll go ahead and I'll add another subdivision layer there. Oh, that's so many polygons. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we need to take the eyes and the body, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm going to say Control F, let's say pumpkin body, and so these 2 pieces together should mesh together nicely and kind of eliminate whatever's not desirable, I'll say, for these things. Let's see. I'm just trying to check and see if I can go ahead and eliminate some of this, smooth it out some. So I mean, it's not going to be visible, but it's still good to have a clean mesh as much as you can, especially like once you go through and kind of prep things for, you know, if you wanted to put lights on the inside or whatever. It just makes it so you have a clean surface to not have to worry about. It's not, I'm not going to worry about cleaning it out too much, but you know, something like that I think will work. Kind of fill this in a little bit. Cool. Okay. So we come over here and just kind of inflate this up. And then what I'll do is, like, once I have all of this kind of together, yeah, it's looking good. Okay, now that I have this all together, let's just Dynamesh it so that it's all, so that it is all, let's see, Dynamesh, where is Dynamesh? There we go. Just so that it looks nice. Bring that up to something like 800, see how it goes. It's going to be super dense, by the way, but it shouldn't be as dense. Yeah, and it's not holding up the details as well as I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring this down. Just bring it up over 1200, somewhere over 1200. I'm just going to kind of do this and see what it comes to. That's better. But it's still not quite what I want. So let's try really boosting this. Dynamesh that. Let's see what it comes out to, points wise. Yeah, it's hard to kind of just the way that everything is with the industry and whatnot right now. It's a real pain. It is a real pain. But yeah, I mean, no doubt we'll figure it out. I'm just going to kind of fix this a little bit. It's a little bit too, the tooth was coming out on top of the gums, and I didn't like that. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now that we have this, millions of polygons, I'm going to save it so that we don't lose it. Brush, AccuCurve, turn that off so that we can get a little bit more honest of a deformation. That's a little bit better. Okay, it's not perfectly round, but it's okay because it's super stylized and whatnot. So should be just fine. Should be good. Okay, now let's go ahead. I'm going to try. I'm going to try eliminating some of my previous pieces here. Let's see. Say delete this. Let's delete the blueberry. Delete all. Okay. Pumpkin body, extract, mouth cut. And since I have these in other versions, I might as well just go ahead and get rid of that. I'll get rid of this. Is that really all I've gotten rid of to like points wise? Look at that. I'm down to 8 million, and I swear I was at 8 million 2 seconds ago. Let me see. Do you think even after so many years of working in the industry, you're not able to find a job? Isn't that a bit odd? Yeah, it is a bit odd. Like if a junior hears this, he'll never want to continue. It's hard. I mean, and it's like I've been at it for long enough that I'm kind of like at that cusp of like mid-senior range, and it's just kind of how it goes. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's just kind of how it is. Um, and it's frustrating. And it's a wake up call, hopefully, to anybody, because it's just how the industry is. I mean, everybody is expendable. Um, I mean, part of like the jobs that I've had, they've been mostly, expendable labor to this, from the standpoint of a lot of my jobs have been contract work, and contract work is a studio's way of going through and getting somebody on loan without having to hire them on full time, so not having to worry about all the same benefits and all the same everything and this and that and the other. And it's stupid. It's super stupid because it shows much more an interest in themselves than it does in their company. And I think that that's, to me, it's sad. It's I feel like there needs to be a change to focus on people rather than on. Yeah, I guess we'll just leave that. To focus on people rather than focus on um, rather than focusing on the bottom line. And it'll never happen. I mean, there will always be a focus on profit and corporate growth, and it's just the way that the world works, and it's stupid, but it's just how it is. And so knowing that hopefully helps to better be able to take care of oneself. Um, so for instance, in knowing that as an artist, you got to know how you're going to go about finding new clients and um, go ahead and kind of pull this down. And that you're going to be doing it regularly, so it's kind of uh, it's important to kind of keep these sorts of things in mind as you're moving forward uh, into these future stages of the industry. You probably will have times where you will be hired on as a contract sculptor or modeler or whatever. Um, and it's just a matter of being able to adapt as needed because of circumstance. So bring these down. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the wake up call that I wish I had had while I was still in school, because it's not something that I feel like I was adequately prepared for. But I feel like it is something that is incredibly important, and that people just don't necessarily know about. So that's my input so far as like the joblessness and the things. Keep your chin up because you're not the only one. Um, and something good will come along if you're patient and if you're networking and if you're doing what you want to do and you're really good at it, and those sorts of things. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, something like that. um, I think it's a matter of time for you. You've got some great experience and talents, and I would enjoy this time you get to focus on personal works and your fans. Thanks, Prashant. I appreciate you, brother. I have a lot of fun, and I do focus a lot on personal work. I think that especially in these sorts of times, I'm able to go ahead and do things like do projects with my students. I'm able to go ahead and do draw this in your style challenges and other things of that nature. Um, I'm able to do a stinking little pumpkin for 3D print. All sorts of things. I'm able to go on walks with my family, and so to a large extent, I do have a lot of freedom. Um, but there's also still that worry of that I'm still young. I'm still really really young, and I work really really hard, and I do worry that I have these skills and these talents, and I feel like I should have um, a lot less a struggle getting good work. Um, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast, you know. So one of the things I'm trying to do, I want this leaf on here. I want it to kind of feel like it's got some, like it's thin, kind of coming off of here. I mean, this is not going to be for molding and casting. It's just going to be for 3D print. So I'm not worried about my undercuts too much. Um, if I were making it for molding and casting, I would want to make sure that I'm not having any kind of like these overhanging pieces on there, or else you're not going to get a good pull out of a mold, or as good of a pull out of a mold. Especially since this is something that has like all the hollow and in the teeth and everything like that. I would want to make this into like a couple pieces. So it'd like essentially have a seam kind of coming along the middle, along here, or something like that. Yeah, so connections are a big thing, and being able to stay connected with companies that you've worked with. It's a big deal. It's important. Okay, I'm gonna go through. Let's say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. I should have hit save. Did I hit save? I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I am friends. I do still have people at companies that I've worked for, DreamWorks, Disney, um, Spin Master, Netflix, all sorts of places that I'm friends with, that I'm connected with, and that's important, um, because when it comes time to fill an opening or fill a vacancy, it's important for people to know, all right, um, we're going to bring Steven on because we know his work ethic, we know him, we like working with him, that sort of stuff. Um, oh, look at that! That tooth is not even going through. Okay, I'm going to delete this. I need to make sure this tooth, is it visible? It doesn't look like it's visible. Okay, so since this tooth is not visible, Control Shift A, just invert it. Geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. I'm going to take this tooth. Is that the only tooth of that polygroup? Looks like it is. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that tooth is going all the way through as well. I want it to be there. I just don't want it to be so out there. So we're just going to pull it in like that. This piece right here, we could probably get rid of this piece. Let's make sure it's the only one. Does it affect the look? Yeah, it affects it enough. Let's go ahead. We'll bring it back. But what we're gonna do, let's bring it back with everything masked. Let's go ahead, center it, rotate it, bring it forward a little bit so that it's not in the middle of everything. And that way it kind of fills in that gap a little bit better. That's so much better. Okay, so now I think we're much more prepared to go ahead and run our booleans so that it's all finished. Okay, let's see. Booleans with dynamic subdiv. We'll let that run for a minute. But yeah, so those are kind of some of the things that I've been kind of working through. But at the same time, um, not having a stable full-time job allows me the opportunity to be able to go ahead and create things like tutorials or brushes or tools or be able to make, some fun things for my Patreon, different things like that, just having fun, and I think that that's important. Um, oh, it finished. It finished. There we go. C'est bon. Look at that. Oh, and you know what? Actually, let's do this. I'm going to say delete, purely because I think that it'd be nice to just merge this leaf into the base here, since we're at that stage. I'm just going to do it. So we're going to do this. We're going to say, not projectile. We're going to say this, booleans with dynamic subdivisions. And yeah, and then this should make everything one single piece. Now, one of the things I want to go through and check for once this is done is to make sure that there aren't any extra floating bits. Sometimes when, like, especially with that leaf, how that leaf had kind of that cupping shape, um, when you have that sort of shape, sometimes it'll leave like a little bubble on the inside of your mesh, um, and you just want to make sure you get rid of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do after this is done, I'm going to save, Control save, say pumpkin 3. Okay, sweet. Okay, so let's check this. Let me show you what I mean. Control Shift A, and that'll essentially reveal all the mesh that's touching it, everything that's vert welded. Okay, so we can invert it. You can see here are a couple of those floating islands that did not get merged together. So we're just going to make sure that we invert that back. Geometry, delete hidden. And there we go. So now this piece should be ready to go. I like to do a couple of things before I send stuff to 3D print. Okay, so this piece in particular, yeah, this should be good. I said I wanted to put my logo into it. Let's do that. I am going to maybe I'll put my logo like right back here. That'll be fun. Let's go ahead. Let's say alpha, import. We'll go to a nanobots, logos. I don't want the black, I want the white, but I want it to be, let's do the black and white image, because that'll make it so that it's a stamp. And actually, let's turn off the alpha there. But I want to use what do I want to use? I want to use, I don't know, maybe I'll try this. I need to change my focal shift down to like -100, like closer to -100. Interesting. I was expecting it to have the alpha applied to it, but I guess it's not. So let's turn that off. I'm going to go ahead, go to standard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change to drag rectangle, and I'm going to change my alpha to that brush alpha. Okay. So now what happens is that, like, once I drag it out, you can see it's starting to have that effect on there. Now there are a couple of things happening here. You'll notice that it's really lagging. The border has like a nice little thin profile to it, and then it gets thicker as it gets to the center. The reason that's happening is because of the focal shift on the brush. So I'm just going to do that again. So you see now you get something like that. It's just something like that. So like at scale, it's not really going to be a big deal, and it'll only be visible like from certain angles. I don't want to put it down too low because if I put it down too low, it's going to kind of create. Oh, that's kind of an interesting idea. Maybe I'll put it in here, and instead of having it kind of come out, I'll have it go in. Let's do this though. Okay, so this is a really heavy mesh. Let's go ahead. We'll say delete all. Just get rid of anything that's not necessary. Okay, so we got the lid, we've got the pumpkin. I'm going to take this, and we are going to say Control save, go hit 4, go back into pumpkin, and I need some more definition. Okay, this is just kind of what I need out of this this little area right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this, invert my mask, and I'm going to hit Control D. Okay, so that's going to give me more resolution just in that spot. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, Control D one more time, just so that I can have the resolution I need to be able to put my stamp in. Okay, now I can undo that, undo the mask, and now you can see it's starting to pull in my stamp nice and neat. And now it's in there somewhere where it won't get affected by supports. And it won't be distracting to the sculpts. So yeah. Okay, so now that I have that worked out, okay, this pumpkin, the pumpkin itself is like 6 million polygons. How did I come up with that logo? That's a good idea. That's a good question. I'll show you that in a minute because this is it has a bit of a story attached to it. Not really a big story. I mean, it's really just kind of like a toy that I had started going through and working on. Oh man, that's gonna be teeny tiny, but it's gonna be so cute. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so essentially it's a toy I started making, um, and I just haven't really been able to get around to doing much more with. Um, Sadly, so I've got some people that have been like, when are you gonna work on a nanobots? And I just haven't been able to. Gonna kind of smooth out this area. I just want to make sure that this pumpkin can sit nice and flat on the whatever surface it's on. So I'm just making a nice flat, making sure that it's level and that it's got several points of contact that I don't have to worry about it rocking and tilting and being stupid. So okay, so now we've got that. Let's go ahead and save it because I am trying to make sure that I just really don't want to lose any of this. But yeah, anyway, so the logo is actually the head of one of those robots, and I've been using that for a few years. I'll just show you in a few minutes. I do have the stuff on my computer, I'm pretty sure. So um, yeah, okay. So what I want to do, Z plugin. I want to go to, ¿cómo se dice? The decimation master. Let's dock it over here to the side so we can keep it open. Okay. So what I want to do, I have my custom points all the way up to 1,000, which is essentially going to be 1 million. 1 million points that it's aiming for. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hit that custom button and wait for it to do its thing. This should eliminate nearly 5 million points of my model, which should make it a lot easier to use, and it should also make it so that it's cleaner for 3D printing. Decimation works really pretty well. I've been pleased with the Decimation Master. One of the things that I always do when I'm trying to figure out how big I want something to print is I'll go through and I'll use a tape measure. Okay, and this one's cool because it's got inches and it has centimeters. I love centimeters because it's cleaner and everything uses centimeters. So it's nice. I wish everywhere in the world used centimeters, but I live in the stinking United States where everything is inches. Any of you who have like moved to the U.S. or have lived abroad, I'm sure you probably experienced some of the similar sort of frustrations that I have with what is it even called? The empirical system? Can't even remember. Um, Shodam. But yeah, whatever. One of the things that I had thought about doing that I thought could be helpful is going through and essentially creating the stem for the leaf, have it as if it's going like from the lid over to the leaf, and then creating like a registration boolean so that it has like a little bit of a vertical key going in. But I mean, I don't know that I want to do that. I'm too afraid of it not lining up nicely enough. so so yeah, I'll probably leave it. Oh my goodness, my whole face is itchy. So I'm here just like being a super bad example of like not touching my face. Okay, so look at that, 1 million points, and it looks virtually the same. Like you can't really tell a difference until you turn on the wireframe. Okay, so now this piece is ready to go. This is ready to hit the printer. Okay, you can see like if you look in here, these areas where the mesh was smoother, where it's flatter, it's going to go through and kind of take out more topology there. In places where there are major surface changes, like smooth surfaces and rounded edges and things like that, it's going to get a lot more density of the topology. It's really good at allocating the topology based on needs, based on what you're shooting for with this stuff. So really good, really fun, really great, super effective, super effective. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, in fact, let's check out the pupils in here. You can see like the eye specular right here, how it's like it's got super few points of geometry there. But then on the outside, it's got a whole bunch of points to kind of support that shape. So I'm mostly looking for jobs with like modeling. If I can get something with character, that's what I prefer. But I recognize it's one of the most competitive areas of the pipeline. So it's one of those things that I try to be very flexible. Um, Try to be very flexible. I'm gonna go ahead and run. Let's say close holes. And then I'm going to run this on here too. I'm going to say that put the decimation at 250K. It's not going to get to 250K. It's going to keep it more the same as what it was, but it's going to decimate it still so that it's getting clean. Um, Do I do texturing and look dev too? Not a whole lot. I know how to do texturing. I don't know how to do look dev very much. I haven't learned how to do things like like nice cloth or hair or um, things like that. When I do hair, everything is very um, everything's very chunk, chunk geometry sort of shape. Rigging is not something I know how to do. It's something I'm trying to learn how to do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. You know what? This particular piece, I'm going to Dynamesh this. Pull this up. And pull up something really high, and then I'll have like a little bit of blur on there so that hopefully it kind of takes out a little bit of the faceting. You can't see it from a distance, so it's not really something that's bothering me too much. um, but yeah, let's come over here. Yeah, rigging is something that I'm wanting to learn how to do because I recognize that it's super helpful. It's really cool. And I personally, if I were to look and see, like, do exactly what it is that I want to do for myself right now, it would probably be something in the neighborhood of, well, you know what, I'm probably going to take this down to like maybe 250. I'll take it down to 250, but once it's done, um, I'm going to want to try to do like my own animated short film, and I want to do it all kind of all by myself. So I can learn the whole pipeline so that I can compete for an Oscar. I want to compete for an Oscar, guys. That'd be fun. But the hard thing about competing for an Oscar is that your short has to be meaningful. And mine's really not meaningful. It's just fun, So it's a very different sort of idea than what you usually see in the Oscars. Um, but it can still be a goal. It can still be a goal. Something I want to shoot for. Okay. So I've got this. It's down to 1,000,000 points. A million points is too high. Let's go down to 250. And there it is. All right. And you see it, like, no loss of detail. So cool, guys. So cool. Awesome. Awesome. High five. Yep. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I've got these other little spriggy pieces that I would love to have in there, but dude, I'd love to be able to hire somebody. I can't hire myself. um, in fact, the whole idea of what I'm trying to do for myself is, I'm using my characters as like what I'm doing for class that I'm doing as demos and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm working on, and then try to use like my personal live streams to get the rest of the stuff kind of pushed along. Um, yeah, these little spriggies, they're not gonna make it, but I'll leave the leaf on there. It's fun. All right, let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna take this. Okay, so now I've got a good set of points there. I'm gonna take I'm gonna like rename this so that it's not UMesh. That just means that it's gone through and that it's been processed with the booleans. So it's fun. It's good. It's really nice. Okay, but let's see. We got that. We got that. Okay, these pieces are ready. We're good. Okay, let's go up to the 3D print hub and let's make sure everything is set up. Okay, so very first thing I want to do. I mean, I'll have to go through and check my options. I don't think I've set it up. It's okay. I'm free. Maybe we'll talk then. Yeah, that's something I'm doing for free too. So first thing I'm going to do, the very, very first thing with the 3D Print Hub is you got to hit the update size ratios, and it'll give you the options. Okay, so it's going to give you one size. So either, oh, that's super small. Either it's going to be 2.08 inches tall, which would be 52 millimeters tall. Really not big. It's super small, right? Um, or it's going to be 2 millimeters tall and it's going to be 0.08 inches, which is be like like this big, and it's not going to work. So it doesn't really matter which one I pick. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the 52 millimeters one, and then I'm just going to go ahead and say, instead of being 52 millimeters, I'm going to zoom out on the screen so that it's about the size that I want. Okay, something like that. And then I got to use my measuring tape. I'm going to measure that out. I'm going to say 10. So 10 centimeters, so it'll be 100 millimeters. Let's go ahead and put in 100 millimeters. Oh, shoot, numlock. 100. Okay. And I want to make sure, okay, when I'm putting things out, I want to make sure that this is, okay, let's see. Okay, so for all subtools, okay, the bounding box is going to be applying to all subtools. Cool. That's right. Okay, so that's how I want that. So I want to say store size settings. What are these for? Interesting. Yeah, we'll keep that. Okay, so store size settings. So we're going to say that's good. Okay, and then export settings. I want to say visible. Export to separate files. I want to turn off polypaint just because it's not necessary. And I'm going to choose ASCII. You can choose binary too. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, and then we'll just say store export settings. So now that's good. And we can say export options. And then we can just say export to STL. And what it's going to do is it's going to give us the option to be able to pick our location and say save. And it's going to say, you're going to give you different options about how you want things named. And so it's going to say things like, okay, so save subtool as pumpkin body, subtool 1, subtool 2, etc. That's not what I want. I want to use the subtool name as the file name. Okay, so it's going to go through and it's going to surf through all the different subtools and figure out the names, figure out what it is that I'm exporting, what I'm not exporting. And it says file exported, but I haven't had the little pop-up box yet. That means it might go through and kind of surf through the subtools again. Yeah, there it goes. So there's the file was successfully exported. Cool. I'm going to go turn on the printer so that it can be started. And then we can just send it to print when we're ready. Let's give it a second. Printer is on. Okay. So I use the Formlabs Form 2 hairy mandibles. I love that username. It's so funny. Yeah, so I use the Formlabs Form 2. It's a great printer. I really enjoyed it. I've been using it since 2017, I think is when I bought it. Yeah, great printer. Especially with the updates, the software updates that they've been handing out. Um, I feel like it's been performing even better and better. So it's been a great printer. It's super expensive though, so I don't use it very often. Let's go ahead. Let's get preform open. I actually wonder, I might have to do some sort of software updates, but we'll have to see. Oh, I can't wait to have this printed. It's gonna be fun. All right, not a fuse one. It looks like we definitely have to get it started up. I know that I have more ink, more resin in there than that, so I don't know why it's not Oh, that's why it's not registering. The cartridge that they had sent me, um, the little chip on the bottom was not registering, and that's how it kind of goes through, and it kind of essentially times the usage of specific cartridges to be able to give you a reading of how much resin you have left. Um, Dude, the Anycubic Photon X, those are awesome printers. That's what Raphael just got, I think, and they're amazing. They look like they work really really well. They work on based off of a projection instead of a single point laser, if I'm not mistaken. So it goes faster, and there is a little bit of a quality difference because you're working with a projection screen instead of with a single point laser. Um, but it's amazing. I mean, I've seen the stuff that it does, and it's really really good. So it's a worthwhile investment if you're going to be going through and putting some heavy mileage in it. Um, Let me see. So yeah, select. Okay, so I want to go through. Yeah, I'll use the fastest print settings. That's fine. Got Gray Pro. Hit apply. There we go. Okay, download that update. I was looking at stuff with stars earlier. NASA had posted on their Instagram that they had some cool images up on the Hubble site, and so I went up and looked, and it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, look at that! It's a video. Oh my gosh, it's twinkling, it's winking at me. Yeah, I love I love the Hubble. I love NASA. I love stars and I love space, and it's just super super cool to go through and see that stuff working like that. Um, Allow software to make changes on the device. I'm gonna say yes. Next, I agree. Install, please. Please wait while preform is being installed. Uh, so we were thinking about moving to Georgia. Crazy, right? Totally crazy. Installing can take some time. The process can take up to 5 minutes. Installing the driver. Hopefully it goes a little bit faster. It's not going slow or anything. It's kind of typical. Picked up tutorial on mold making. Would materially suggest casting mode. Let me go and see kind of what it is that I use. Um, because it's kind of a nice silicone that I got, but I can't remember the name of it. It's a smooth on. and it turns out green. I can't remember the name of the actual silicone that I use. But yeah, I love the smooth on materials. They do a great job. Um, they hold up really well. They have a good pot life, not pot life, good. I mean, just as a mold, they have a good shelf life. I mean, I've had this one for a good. I mean, this particular one had some bubbles. That's because I don't have a pressure pot and things like that. So, so that's my bad. Um, but yeah, I like the smooth on stuff. One thing that I would point out and that I kind of want to add to, I might go through and actually like redo the mold making techniques series because one thing, like there are two things that I neglected to think about when I created this tutorial, and that I would encourage you to be mindful of when you apply it yourself, is that when you 3D print a mold, or when you create a mold, like a mold box, you want to make sure that you consider things like draft angles and pour spouts. Um, I totally neglected to even think about draft angles and mold and pour spouts, and it really negatively impacted my ability to keep my pieces together when I was done pouring my um, oh, look at that beautiful little pieces there. When I was done pouring my silicone, and when I was trying to demold, that was a pain. It was such a pain. So yeah, that's the thing to yeah, you do have to worry about the mold lock and things. So because I had the draft angle is like straight up and down in the video, it really made it super difficult to get the pieces out. And so what I had to end up doing is I had to cut off um, my my base piece, not my mold negative, but like the oh my goodness, I'm blanking on names right now. Um, I don't need your advertising. All right. I'm going to actually check and see if there is an update. Sweet. Okay, beautiful. That's great. I just needed to check and make sure that all of that was up to date, and so now we're good. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's the only thing. So getting those draft angles to be right. Yeah, and then using some sort of release agent would be, I guess, another good thing to do. What am I looking for? I am looking for pumpkin. Hey, you pumpkin. Okay, so here I've got the pumpkin body and I've got the lid. Okay, maybe what I'll do is I'll say pumpkin lid. Now I'm super cheap when it comes to interesting. I wonder why they're not together. Oh, because of the naming. Okay, I see. I see. So we're just gonna drag these on and hope for the best. Um, my hope is that it'll bring these pieces in and it won't have to do any kind of correcting, and then it'll just let me go ahead and make my make my supports and send it to print. But yeah, so I try to be as economic as possible when I'm creating rafts. Rafts and support material. Yeah, it has to repair it. That's okay. We'll have it repaired. It does a good job. Um, the thing that I run into is that if I have big rafts, it just uses up a ton of material. So one of the things that's really nice about preform is that it does mini wraps, and so it's just this teeny little dot of expanded connection for the support material to the print bed, so that it has some still has some stability, but you don't have to worry about it taking up as large of a space and using as much resin. So that's one of the things that I super appreciate about Formlabs, in preform. Yeah, so it takes a little while sometimes to go through and get the repairs done. There when you're prepping things to print in preform, I mean I've it's been a while since I've used, is it Simplify 3D, or other like 3D printing software. Um, okay, I was gonna say, where is that lid? It's in there. Okay, I'm just gonna try to check and make sure. One thing I want to be sure of is that these pieces have. Oh, I've got some cupping. Okay, I want to make sure that that's not an issue. Shoot, I didn't think about that. Um, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna take this pumpkin body, and I am going to say, let's insert one of these. Okay, so that's going through. Good. Hello, Mr. Potter. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I am going to say split that. In fact, let's do this first. It's gonna say uh, pumpkin body, and then we're gonna say split unmasked. Yeah, let's turn off the lid because we don't need the lid right now. We will in a minute, just to make sure that we're printing something at the same, that we're exporting this at the same height. I always do it just to be safe. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this here, turn this to negative. We're going to take this and we're going to say Boolean with dynamic subdiv. And once this is done, we should have a pumpkin body with a little hole in it. Yeah, so Georgia, the whole Georgia thing, it kind of started off as a little bit of a, not really a joke. I don't think a joke is really the right word for it. There's my little hole. Sweet. Okay. So, somebody that follows me on Instagram had gone through and said that at SCAD, at Savannah College of Art and Design, they're looking for a 3D instructor, full time. So it's like, yeah, I was looking through and thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, fun little opportunity. So it might be worthwhile for me to go ahead and um, apply to that, see, and then my wife was like, "Oh well, what does it cost to live in Georgia? Isn't Savannah really expensive?" And we looked, and it was like dirt cheap. Part of the hard thing about trying to move to somewhere like Savannah or somewhere that's really close to the Georgian coast is that you would have to worry about Savannah season, hurricane season. And I don't know that I could live with hurricanes. I could live with storms. In fact, I really wish that we would get storms here. We didn't get much rain last year at all, and so it's really, really dry down here. Um, oh, here, let me rename this. Pumpkin body. Okay. Now we're going to do this. Let's go ahead and save this file just so we have it. And yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll keep the other one from the Boolean. Living near a beach, I mean, I probably not. I mean, we're thinking that if we were to move there, we'd probably move inland a little bit. But I don't really know. I mean, it's not something we've really super studied out yet. Um, because it's like, no matter where you move, you're trading your problems for where you live to the new problems. You're also trading the perks from where you live to the new perks. So it's kind of just it depends on what it is that what the trade-off is to you, what you're prioritizing. Um, did I get my new pieces? Pumpkin views. Pumpkin lit. Oh, I didn't export yet. Okay. Bailed on California 2015. Zero regrets. What part of California were you in? Because yeah, I mean my wife was born and raised here, so she's very. I mean, I guess disenchanted might be the right word. We're both kind of disenchanted. We don't particularly care for California. It's really hard. Um, well, that's funny because San Diego's supposed to be like one of the happier spots in California. Um, but yeah, I mean it's just hard. I mean it's so expensive and it's so needlessly expensive. It's like you know, it just kind of drives me nuts. I'm gonna go ahead and tilt this so that it's oriented nicely. I want to try to avoid having supports on the stem as much as possible. Um, just because the cleanup would not be as fun. Not that cleanup is ever any fun, but whatever. Pumpkin body. Let's go ahead. I can get rid of this piece. Pumpkin body. Unable to read. It says it's 315 megabytes, so it better be able to read. Maybe I just need to go ahead and do a new. Don't save. Let's try this. And we'll try loading it in again, see if it works. Yeah. Yeah, and the fires are definitely getting worse. And that's one of the heavy things is that the fires are so close to where we're at. Um, Ay, qué porquería. Ay, qué chanta. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna like delete my STL files. I am going to take this body. We're just gonna go ahead and rerun the decimation master. Hit custom. I was not expecting this to go to go this long. I was expecting this to be much quicker. Um, yeah, no, that's very sound advice. You know, getting a tour, and then if you and your wife also, yeah, being able to get work and everything. The thing is that I'm looking that if I were to move, like to move really anywhere that I feel like would be nice. Um, and then being able to, oh, I don't want that. Yeah, anywhere where we feel like we want to be, and then being able to just figure out remote work. Okay, looks like we got everything then. Okay, let's try this again. Turn off solo mode. And let's do this. We'll say STL underscore pumpkin lid. And then we'll say STL pumpkin body. Okay, now let's try this again. Control S, save the stinking file, and then we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, I mean we're very good at saving up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're really good at saving up and things like that. So it's like so far as the so far as financial things go, like we're really good at that side of things. Obviously, we don't want to be saving up for a rainy day, so to speak. Um, but that's yeah, that's just kind of how we are. We're good at that. That's how we've been able to make it this long without stable and desirable work. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of the idea of what we're trying to do. What in the heck is going on? I'm gonna turn it off and turn it back on because it should not be giving me those issues. Let me try this though first, just to make sure. Say close holes. Okay, so this is, man, it looks fine. Good grief. Let me say weld points. And we'll say close holes again, just to double check and make absolutely sure. Okay, weld points, close holes. Okay, now this one's good. Yeah, and it should be good. It should be good. In theory, it should be good. Yeah, it amazes me that places they're always going to the most expensive places. A lot of what attracts studios are different tax incentives, um, which really drives me nuts. It's like, can't you think of a better reason to be in a place? um, but yeah, I mean, essentially they get an allowance from governments for moving to where they are. Okay. This is going to be the last time. If it doesn't work this time, then I'm going to try something different. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of part of the reason why so many places are moving up to Montreal and to Vancouver and I think even Sydney and Melbourne have good tax incentives, things like that. The UK, um, the UK would love to have good tax or a good studios. Oh my gosh. Unable to read this file. This is infuriating. Yeah, I might have to just like not worry about this for right now because I I got other things to do, dang it. It's just how it goes, I guess, sometimes. Huh. I'm gonna try let's try a different route. See if we can go through here. Why does it say unable to read? Maybe I'll try instead of using an STL, maybe let's try exporting as an OBJ. I mean, the file sizes might be bigger, but it might actually work, you know? Use the subtool name as, and then we'll see if this will actually treat us kindly. So one of the things I gotta do is I gotta check and make sure OBJ. I'm just going through and kind of checking my names because this is the OBJ, so I'm just going to go ahead and change this to OBJ instead. I can get rid of these. Okay, let's try this one more time. One more again. Use the OBJs. You see, if this works, I'll do a happy dance, you know, in my heart. Then I'll probably, you know, get this ready, send it off to print, and then I'll end the stream and go get lunch. Woo! It's 2:30 and I still haven't eaten lunch. I'm good at life. I was gonna say, did it work? Okay, so this. Oh, come on, why are you not using the gizmo? There we go. So I want to make sure that it's not completely flat. Anytime you have like a flat surface in 3D printing, you want to make sure that's tilted. Well, particularly for resin. For FDM, it's not as big of a deal. Okay, unsupported minimum, we can deal with that. That is perfect. Like for instance, the bottom of this lid, if I were to have it so that it was more flat with the surface, I would get some dipping. And so what I want to try to do is I want to have it angled so that the supports will come in and make it essentially take care of it as much as possible. Create wedges and create. Yeah, maybe let's tilt it this way. Something like that. Okay, that's working. I always forget like the navigation in here, and it drives me nuts. Okay, so we're gonna drag this over a little bit. Drag this in just a little bit. And then what we want to do, I'm going to do like a general, um, okay, a general supports pass. And so this is what I'm talking about. So the raft is this big base piece that's going to lay on the print bed. I don't like using full raft because it uses a ton of material. So I'd use the mini rafts. You can switch to none, but then it's going to be lower chances of it staying stuck to the print bed. So yeah, mini raft, density. I usually actually change this down to like 0.85. Touch point size, I'll also change this down to like 0.45 or less, depending on what I need. If I feel like there are some spots that might need heavier support, then I'll go through and I'll do that manually. Add in those supports manually. So what I'm going to do, the height above the raft, I'd put that to 0.3. Oh, sorry, not 0.3. 3 or 2.5. 3 or 2.5. 3's just fine. Raft thickness, I'll just leave that the way it is. And then it becomes a waiting game. So while we wait, just kidding. While we wait, let me see. Oh, it's not even taking super long. That's a relief. Let me see. One of the things I was thinking about doing was going back to school and getting a master's, which I think could be great fun. I would really enjoy going back to school, especially since the structure for getting a master's is so much different from getting a bachelor's. And since I have professional experience, I have a little bit more of like a freedom to be able to kind of go about experimenting and trying different things the way that I would like. Um, yeah, I'd be able to work on animation as a medium or different, maybe using 3D printing to be able to kind of like what Leica does, and doing like 3D printed stop motion puppet faces and things like that. Um, Things like that would be brilliant fun. I would so much love doing something like that. Maybe probably more like what Aardman does, because I don't think I could afford to do as many stop motion faces as what Leica does, but it's still cool. Still cool. Okay, so this piece right here, I don't want that support. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say Edit Supports, and you just kind of click on that one when it turns red, and everything else should be good. Say Apply, and it says we're good. Oh no, you did not just put a support in there. Okay, so I'm seeing that I'm getting like a little bit of a support in here, and I don't want the support in there. So I might have to try to figure out exactly how I want to go about this, because I'm going to have supports, and it's going to need to be. Let's just let's get. I know for sure I can get rid of the one that's down here. This one might need it, but it's like if I don't have it, it'll have like a little bit of a flat part there where it's against the bottom of the resin tray. And same thing with this little bit right here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. It'll probably show up red here in a minute, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be one of those things that it won't cause any problems. Failed to add. I didn't try to add. What a doofus. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure that some of these more delicate spots, like the eyes, that those don't have any supports touching. Okay, so now that this is done, okay, everything's calculated, everything looks pretty decent. I'm going to take this, and this is what I can go ahead and send to print. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And, oh, it's not even logged in. What a, let me see. Don't look at my password, guys. Dot, 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 dot. So the important thing about being logged in when I'm printing is that it allows me to check my print from anywhere. I can go in and get to my Formlabs dashboard and connect and see how far along it is. I can see if it, I'll get text messages if it runs out of resin, or if it's running low on resin, or if it's jammed, or different issues and errors and things like that. It'll tell me when it's done. Like I'll get a text message when it's done. Things like that. So being logged in is important. But I think also because this printer is registered to me, it should also send me those updates anyway. Ah, I forgot to change the job name. Oh well. Yeah, and then if I were able to like kind of pick you guys up and like carry you out to the to the screen out there, I'd show you kind of what's happening with the printer. Essentially, it's just uploading it to the printer, and then it'll have a button saying, push start. Make sure that the vents are open. Make sure this and that. And then, yeah. And then I get to hit go. It's kind of fun. Okay, so now I know that I have these pieces. They're ready to go. They're ready to be printed. So now I can go ahead and put these up onto my Patreon. So yeah, I think I might make these available as kind of like a trick or treat for anybody who wants to participate, wants to have it before brush collectors on up. Brush collectors and asset hoarders. Should be fun. Oh, you gonna see something fun? I got. Let's put this over on the other side. I got these pins from with my logo on it from Sticker Mule. They're fun. They're great little pins. They're vinyl, little or acrylic, not vinyl. They're acrylic. And then they come with like a little bit of like a plastic film on it so it protects the surface. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool having like my own little pin that I can give out and whatnot. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So like I've got one up on my bulletin board so that it's just fun. And I've also got like little buttons with my fishbot on it. I love my fishbot. It's a fun piece. And it'll be fun someday when I can go through. In fact, I might use the mold making series rehash excuse to kind of make the molds for this guy. Here we go. There's his face. Yeah, so like there's kind of part of my fish bot. I'd started painting him. Laid on like a red glossy coat. But one of the things that I'm running into that I'm noticing is that the it didn't lay on as flat or like as smooth as I'd like. And so there's a lot of noise to that specular highlight. So there we go. Job successfully uploaded. So I'll go ahead and hit print, and I'll check back in with you guys at some point. I will be posting this up on like the OBJ files. I'll be putting those up um, onto Patreon here before too long, probably in a few minutes. Probably by 3 o'clock or something. So if you're part of the brush collectors on up, that'll be kind of the treat for this month. Um, and then yeah, and then I'll be posting pictures of the how the 3D print turned out here in a day or two. How long is this going to take? It says 14 hours, so this will be ready tomorrow morning. So pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Be ready before I wake up. So yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in and for coming and hanging out. It's nice to have people to talk to, especially in these work from homes. Oh, how likely are you to recommend Formlabs to a friend or colleague? Guys, I recommend Formlabs to. I just did it. So, love the product just as